Hey there, duelists! My name is Dusty, and welcome back to our casual guide to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. The next mechanic that I kind of want to talk to you about when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what we call counters. So you kind of can't quite see it, but this is just kind of a token, cardboard token that I kind of took from a board game that I have, and essentially I'm going to use this as a counter. And so what counters are is that sometimes when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You might encounter a card that requires the placement of a counter. Counters are essentially tallies that are placed on a card, and that would require the termination of effect. So if you look back at Battle Wasp Nest, that's a card that requires the placement of a counter. So every time Battle Wasp Nest is activated and I summon a Battle Wasp monster from my deck to the field as a result of that card, I place a counter on that card to keep track of how many times I've used that effect. And when I reach that number of counters on that card that it says it has a max of, that card is destroyed and can no longer use that card. So counters is a good way to kind of keep track of the tallies of that. Now monsters can also have a tally effect. So the Cloudian archetype, for example, is built really around placing counters. I believe it's Cloudian Storm Dragon that itself can actually place counters on it like once per turn. But typically the Cloudians, once they are summoned, they place counters kind of across the board, and then those counters can be removed to activate an effect. So you just kind of take out those tallies. In that sense, it's kind of almost more ammunition. So the amount of counters that you have on a card, you can take it away and you can determine that effect. There are also spell cards out there that require the placement of counters as well, and then removing those counters allows you to removing a certain number of counters allows you to allows you a certain effect. So that's essentially counters and kind of what their use are. They're essentially used as tallies or kind of trackers, allowing you to determine how many more times you can use the effect of a card, or how many tallies you need before you can use the effect of a card. If you are playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online through like Duel Links or Master Duel, those counters are going to be just kind of built into the mechanics of the game itself. So we'll place the counters for you. You just have to choose how many you remove based on the counters. And then the Yu-Gi-Oh! App Neuron also allows you to kind of place counters to keep track of counters. Since it's app and it's not really showing, you can't really, you don't have a visual representation, so you can just have to keep track of what cards have which counters and how many of which cards that have counters. But that is counters, and they're kind of how they're used in Yu-Gi-Oh! Thank you all so much for watching. If no one else told you in a while, I'm proud of you and you are loved. Keep on rocking, rock stars. Love ya. Mwah.